is time for Coffee with Kristin and Tina. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Welcome to Coffee with Kristin and Tina. We're your hosts this morning. I'm Tina Prigge of Vagabond Creative Studio. Way over on the other side of the screen is Kristin Odell of Grow with KLO. And in the middle, we have Uncle John O'Connor. John, welcome to Coffee with Kristin and Tina.
Uncle John is in the house.
So, Kristin, this is your uncle. We should make that clear, not my uncle, although I will call you Uncle John all day long. Kristin, tell us about your Uncle John and why he's on the show with us this morning.
So Uncle John is my dad's baby brother.
Uh-huh.
He's sitting next to me. Isn't this cool? We're in separate screens, but right next to each
Your dad's only brother. Yeah.
Prove it. Can you pinch his cheek or something?
The one we don't talk about. There you go.
Fantastic.
Yeah, my dad's only brother. They're in Manitowoc playing tourists this week.
Hey.
And John has had a very long and amazing career in broadcasting, radio broadcasting. And so I thought, what better way to finish their vacation than a stop on the coolest coast?
Yeah.
And I do have a little bit of TV also, but that was for Uncle Sam in the Republic of Korea. In 1972, I did television news for almost a year with the American Forces Korea Network.
Oh, wow. So you're kind of comfortable then. You're okay being in front of this camera.
Oh, yeah.
So did Kristin give you a heads up that you were going to be on this show? Or is this... Uncle John, did Kristin prep you that you'd be on the show, or was it a surprise this morning? You're eating your breakfast and she's like, come on.
Several days ago and twisted my arm. So that's why it's in a sling this morning. No, it's not in the sling.
So what's kind of cool is, so John, you're here visiting as a tourist, but you're from Manitowoc. I just want to let people know that he's from Lincoln High School's class of 1965.
Legendary class of 65.
Tell us about this class.
It was the biggest, you just showed the little clip up on the screen. It was the biggest class in the history of Lincoln High School. The counts vary. I've heard everything from 730 something to 750. But yeah, we're right in the middle with the clip there was 740 some. And it was the biggest class. It was the baby boom class, if you want to call that. And then the totals right after that started slipping. I don't know what they're graduating now, but somebody told me around 300, is that right?
Yep.
Yeah. Well, that's very respectable. By the way, I'm very proud to be a Lincoln High graduate. I love the school. I love the look of the school. I've showed pictures of that school to friends and others, and they said, that looks like a college or something. And it does. It's a gorgeous old building. They did it right when they built Lincoln High School.
Yeah, it's true. So, John, you've had, an illustrious career, 50 years in broadcasting, not here on the coolest coast, but now you're back visiting the coolest coast. Things have definitely changed. There's been all sorts of improvements and, cool life enhancements. How do you feel when you come back and visit? What is it like?
I feel very good. Especially felt good when I saw the population sign at the edge of town had gone to 34,626. For many years, as you know, it's like 32 or 33,000. So I'm happy to see some real growth in numbers. That's great. And just with all the services and activities going on, the place Manitowoc has real vibrancy to it now that it didn't just 10 years ago. So I'm very impressed. So is my wife Sally, who's been with me many years also.
So Kristin, what are some of the things that you've done together while they've been here on the coolest coast?
Well, they are great adventures. So I'll let John talk a little bit about that. But we've had the pleasure of sharing lots of meals together in our homes. We also hit up Wagner's in Francis Creek. So you guys, a couple weeks ago, we talked about breakfast spots in Manitowoc. We made a trip out Sunday morning to Wagner's in the old bank building. Look at 85 degrees. Woo! That doesn't feel like coolest coast.
You even got a picture of it.
I sure did. And we had a very nice breakfast there. We had a bigger group on Sunday. They totally accommodated us. It was so good. And let's see, John, tell us a little bit. You would hit up the Hamilton Printing Museum.
Right. Yeah, we had been talking about going to the Hamilton Wood Type Museum for years, and we were thinking, gee, how exciting can that be? But it was. We were thrilled. It's an amazing place. It's incredible. People from around the world come to that museum. because it has the world's largest collection of wood type. The wood type was used in big headlines years ago and for big posters. The small type was done by metal. But the big type was all wood, and it was all handmade, and they have all these huge machines that were used in the production of it, and it's just a fascinating place. And my nephew, Nick, lives in Colorado, and he's a graphic designer. And his alma mater, Kansas University, KU, they send classes here every summer. One of the profs, one of the graphics arts profs, brings classes to this wood museum every summer to learn how it was done and how they can do things in the future, because they're still using this type of technology. So it's an exciting place. I highly recommend it. It only took us 20 years to go to it, to attend it. Of course, we've been to the submarine several times, and I should really renew my membership in the Maritime Museum. Sorry I let it lapse. But we've been to, we've been to all the usual restaurants and other attractions, and it's just been great fun. And of course, like Michigan, we always try to squeeze in a beach day or two. It usually runs a beach 2 hours or so. So we don't spend the whole day there anymore because we don't like sunburn. Even with sunblock, you get some, So. But anyway, yeah, it's been fun. We've just gone around, seen a lot of different things, and a lot of family, which is the main reason we come,
Yeah, so
Kristin,
sorry, I think you might have a picture. I sent you a family picture from the other night. So it's super unusual to have the O'Connor clan in town. So here's a picture of us. So my dad's sister Carol was in town, John's sister Carol, and she's all the way on the right. And awesome Uncle John is right behind there by the flag. And then the rest of the crowd, John's beautiful wife Sally is on the left right in front of me. And so here's the group. We had just an awesome dinner, and it's just been a really great visit. So
it must be so interesting for the girls too to have that connection.
mm-hmm. Yeah, they love it. Uncle John's kind of the comedian in the family. He's got a lot of dad jokes in his arsenal, so they think he's a pretty funny guy.
So we're listening if you would like to share anything with the viewers, John.
I don't have any dad jokes available right now, but it just, I was a morning show host for 26 years, and you've got to have a certain amount of stuff in your head ready to go. And I also had a huge file box of bits that I would do on a day-to-day basis and then rotate them from year to year. And the other radio personalities at the station would always ask me, "What's in that file box, John? I would like to see that file box." And I say, "Over my dead body. You'll never see mine." It contained a lot of stuff I had written myself. I'm a writer, and I'd written most of my own bits, comedy bits, some of which won broadcasting awards with the state broadcasters. But anyway, it's just been a lot of fun. My career started in 1964, which that was the year that the Beatles really broke big worldwide. And that was an exciting time to be a 16-year-old disc jockey, as you might expect.
Yeah.
My good friend Bob Price, who retired from KNBR in San Francisco about 5 years ago, his uncle, Larry Herman, who had been doing news at WOMT, they needed a part-timer, so they hired Bob. And a couple of months later, it turned out a full-timer left in the evening, so they needed another part-timer to fill in several nights per week. So Bob recommended me, and I went down, did an audition tape, and they hired me. They did know me a little bit, though, because I had been the voice of St. Boniface School. No, I shouldn't say. That's overstating a little bit. But Catholic schools, we would get up and read in class. We would stand up and read in class. Every kid had to do that every week. And they always liked the way I read. They said, "Oh, you're very smooth. You're very smooth." So every Christmas season, we would do a 15-minute program of carols, Christmas music, produced by our church choir, the kids choir, And they would ask me if I would introduce each number and introduce, the start of the show and then close out the show. So they knew me from that too. The engineer, Hubert Willis, we called him Willie. When he met me and recorded me for the audition, he said, "Oh, I remember you. You're the kid from St. Boniface who'd introduced those Christmas programs." So I had a little bit of an in there, but it was really Bob Price and his uncle who were the main influences in me getting into radio. And
it's interesting because it shows who you know really is important, right? In that case, it wasn't just what you know, but more importantly, it was who you knew to get you that connection.
And who knew you, or at least remembered you. So
remembered your voice, yeah.
Yeah, human connections are so important. Yeah, they really are. Yeah.
So let me ask you this:
no one goes alone. No one goes alone through life. You know, if people were honest, they'd say that they were helped along the way by someone, and I have been, thank goodness. So
when you were on radio, John, did you have like a radio persona voice? Did you change your voice or change your character, or is it what we hear?
Not so much. I've always used my natural voice. In those days, you tended to, in the 60s, you tended to sound a little bit hyper, more so than you do now. But those were the days of the rock and roll disc jockeys who were really crazy on the air. And so I did a little bit of that, but I just used my regular voice and real name. Some guys use air names. Some guys should have air names. But anyway, I just used my regular name, and my shift consisted of 5 hours. I would go in at 6 p.m. This is back in the mid-'60s now. And the station at that time played a lot of news programs, and then they would play easy listening music for a while. And then finally at 9:30, we were allowed, the kids in the community, were allowed to have a show called Night Flight. And I'm sure some of the people in this area will remember Night Flight. I know I went to my 50th reunion, was talking to people, and they said, "Oh, Night Flight! I used to do my homework to that." You know, so it was a 90-minute rock and roll show, all the hits of the day from the Billboard charts, including a big smattering of the Beatles thrown in, obviously. And it was a great time to be in radio because it was just so exciting with the Beatles and the Dave Clark Five and all the rest of the British groups of the period. It was just a great time to be in radio. So for 90 minutes, we played rock and roll, and then the station signed off at 11 p.m. Now, of course, almost all stations go 24 hours, but in those days, many stations signed off at 11 or midnight just to save money on the electric bill, I guess.
TVs did that too. I can remember being a kid watching Johnny Carson or something with my mom, and then all of a sudden, the national anthem would play, and you'd get the colored bars, and it was curtains for the night for that show.
This pattern, yeah, sure, it came on, yeah.
Hey, Tina, I think we need to talk to Terry Stevenson about bringing Night Flight back.
But now if you were playing those songs, they'd be considered oldies. Like, I'm shocked when I hear 80s songs that were so new to me. Now they're oldies too.
So listen, John, we were sitting at dinner the other night, and John said, "Have you heard of the biggest fire ever in Manitowoc?" To which I replied, "No."
There it is.
There it is.
Yeah.
So March 25th, 1962, John knows all the details, and he was an eyewitness. So tell us about this fire.
Yeah, I'm not sure when it started, but we noticed it from our home. I think my brother Bill was up that evening, and it was around midnight, and he started waking the rest of us up and said, "There's something going on. I think the aluminum goods," as we called it then. Now it's Miro, of course. Well, it used to be Miro.
Yeah.
Anyway, he said, "I think the aluminum goods is on fire." And we thought, we got to take a walk down there. And my memory is a little flaky. I thought my brother drove us down there, but actually we walked because we didn't want to get the car in danger. We can put ourselves in danger, but not the car. So anyway, we walked down Franklin Street, and which, let's see, that turns into Clark at some point, doesn't it? No, wait a minute. Okay, we walked.
Yeah, Franklin Street stays the same all the way until Quay. No.
That's right.
It doesn't cross Quay. Franklin literally goes from the lake all the way to 26th.
We went over to the Westfield Bar area and then went down Clark Street from there, because then we knew it wasn't the aluminum factory. It was something else. And then we saw what it was. It was this huge old, it was just a monster structure, huge old wood grain elevator that I understand later had been empty for some time. And it was on fire. I don't think they ever determined the cause. but it was just a huge fire. They said they could see it 30 miles out into the lake, and even over in Ludington, they said there was a glow on the horizon. That's 64 miles away. So it was just a monster fire, and we were able to get not much more than Westfield Bar. I think we were able to get maybe a block closer. But then it got too warm, obviously, and we saw homeowners spraying their roofs with hoses, but there were really no embers falling because there was no wind, which saved maybe a good part of the town. I don't know. Just to pinpoint the location of this was right downtown, where it's across the river from the new apartment complex that's being built right now. It's in the exact same location that Red Arrow plant is now. Do they still make liquid smoke and all that?
They do. Yep.
That's the location where the elevator was, but it just burned to the ground overnight. And after a couple of hours, we went home, went back to bed, and we knew it was under control. But the firefighters really couldn't do much because all they could do is spray up to about maybe tops 100 feet, and the thing was several hundred feet tall. It was just a monster. It had been used in the 1880s and 90s, and but it's history now. But it was quite the thing at the time. And yes, it is the biggest fire in the history of Manitowoc, to my knowledge.
I'm surprised. I've never heard of it. Never, like, once.
Yeah.
Right.
Have you,
So
Kristin?
this is called, you guys, you can go look this up. Grain Elevator B. And this is right in the same neighborhood as where we talked about the old train depot being. So Connor was on, 6 weeks ago or whatever, and we talked about this, or maybe 8 weeks ago, who knows. But the same little neighborhood. And so we had this great conversation about this very historic fire, which I've never heard about.
Mhm.
But you guys, I got that picture. If you Google this, Uncle John taught me this. You just talk on your phone and say, Elevator B fire Manitowoc.
Oh,
Lo
yeah.
and behold, everything comes up.
Sure.
And
Isn't technology grand?
it is. It really is.
When
So
it
you-
works.
Right. So you can go out there. You can look up this fire. There's information and pictures out there.
Oh, yeah.
But great Manitowoc history that I knew nothing about.
I would bet that the Manitowoc Historical Society has a lot more material than what you find online. And so if you want to check with them too, get more info.
Yeah. Technology is amazing. So, for example, learning about this, the fact that it's historical, we didn't know about it, but it was important enough that somebody had the foresight to get it online so that you can ask the phone and it brings it up. You know what I mean? It's the whole cosmopolis of things that happen in order for us to have that information. It's amazing, right? Even yesterday, I was looking for some directions on Google Maps, right? And really near our house, this lake came up, and it's called Teak Lake. And my son's name is Teak. It's spelled with an A, but still, I had never heard of Teak Lake. And the fact that it's so close to us, I was like, wow, technology is amazing.
Is that in Wisconsin?
Right. It's right in Manitowoc Rapids. It's like just
Really?
off of Dutch Road.
That's a new one on me. Huh.
Yeah, right. We drove past. It must be on private property. There wasn't a way to access it. There wasn't an actual sign out there. But the fact that it was big enough to show up on the maps, I was just like, what?
Yeah, that's kind of like in Kansas. There's a lot of little towns that don't exist, but they're still listed on the map. When they have weather alerts, and they show where the tornado is progressing, you have all these tiny towns no one's ever heard of because they're simply not there anymore, but they're still on the records of the government, the government records. So
Interesting.
they still use them as geographical identification points,
Yeah.
Just the people in that area know them, but there's a lot of things that I got to know that I didn't know before. So.
It's interesting. I love that with technology, sometimes it seems like, okay, we couldn't possibly know more, right? Like we must have encountered everything, but there is every day something new, something fascinating. There is still so much to the wide world that we have yet to discover.
Now we went in broadcasting, we went from huge turntables playing the vinyl records, to CDs, and now everything's all digital. There's no CDs left, or very few. In almost any station in the country, there's very few CDs. It's all digital, and it's incredible to witness that trend of events throughout the years, going from really slow old-time technology to what we have now. It's a blessing, it really is. And most of the time it does work.
Most of the time.
Yeah.
Most of the time.
So,
So
Tina, you were just mentioning wide open spaces and all the things to discover. You and Jason have been on your motorcycles again. Tell us the latest and greatest spot you've been to.
Yeah.
well, yeah, the latest. So what's exciting is I hit 1,000 miles.
Whoa.
Yeah. Jason's already at like 1,400, but we haven't even had them a month. So yeah, we have been going all over the place. It's amazing. It's amazing to take all of the back roads and discover Manitowoc County and to really see and feel it. One thing though, I've seen more deer since I've had this motorcycle than I've ever seen in my life. I've started to call the bike Snow White because it seems like it just stands for cranes, turkeys, muskrats, like they're all there to see the bike, it seems.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
last night, there was a little bit of a rain and this incredible rainbow.
Oh, you got the
beautiful.
full rainbow last night.
Look at that. That is great.
Beautiful.
That is pretty. So what are you riding? What kind of bikes do you ride?
I am riding a Harley. Oh,
Don't ride the cat.
Yeah.
Do not ride the cat. We don't recommend the cat.
it's not the cat. I'm riding a Harley Sportster. It's an 883, and Jason's riding a 48.
Okay.
And I'm just barely saying things that I've heard him say. I don't really know what any of that means. So.
No, I'm not sure what a Harley 48 is, but I'll take your word for it. I have heard of the Sportster. I've known someone who had one.
Nice.
Yeah,
Yeah. It suits me. It's just, it's not big. It doesn't have a big cushy seat or radio or anything like that. But
just the right size. It's perfect. Yeah.
yeah, just the right size.
So Tina, you had that other picture up. We were at the Ball Diamonds last night, where I am every night. And it did not rain a lot. We got just this little sprinkle, and we got this kind of a third of a rainbow there last night. Nora snapped this picture for me. And I feel like we've had a rainbow every week for the last couple of weeks.
It's kind of amazing, isn't it? So we were riding along Memorial Drive, and all of a sudden I started getting like splatted, and I thought, holy June bugs or something. Like I thought these huge bugs were splatting on me. And then I realized it was a rain cloud. And so I pulled over, and then we're like, oh, there's this rainbow. And I was relieved, let me tell you, that it wasn't bugs making all of those splat noises.
Oh, yeah.
I bet. John and Sally have really been enjoying Mariners Trail while they've been here. So they've been staying at the lighthouse, and then they can just hit the trail right from there. And
I really got it. Sally and I both have to give a lot of props to the people who maintain these beautiful flower beds out there along the trail, and it's just gorgeous. It's a great civic project, and whoever's doing it, please keep doing it because it's wonderful.
Tina, do you want to talk a little bit about that, about the flower beds?
Yeah, so the Friends of the Mariners Trail organizes them, and from my understanding, they're all private. So they're not all maintained by the same person, right? Like different individuals or groups maintain those, and that's why there's different looks, different flowers.
Yeah.
I think one or two beds when the lake level got so high actually got reclaimed by the lake, unfortunately. But yeah, they do such a beautiful job.
And we did notice we took a bag with us because we've done this before. We took a little bag with us when we went on our stroll and picked up trash because it seems like there's always someone who throws something out of a car. It's usually food wrappers. So we made a point of when we went for a walk every morning, we pick up the trash and bagged it and threw it in the proper container just to do our little bit to keep it nice,
My other computer died.
Uh-oh.
This is how we're going to finish the show today.
let's put you front and center here. Well, I'm so glad that you've noticed the efforts that people are putting into maintaining those flower beds and keeping them beautiful. Thank you for doing your part too to help clean up and keep it beautiful. John, so good to see you. Thank you for joining us on the show this morning.
Well, thank you for having me. It's been great fun.
They have to go home today.
Yeah, we're heading out in about 15 minutes. Yeah.
Oh, holy smokes. Wow. Well, thanks for squeezing us in. This has been too cool.
It's been my pleasure. Thank you.
I told him he couldn't leave unless he did the show with me.
Well, the $500 fee helped too.
Uh-huh.
I wouldn't charge anything. It's just great fun to be here.
Just a steak dinner with his favorite niece.
We did have steak the other night, and she and Doug put on a fantastic meal as usual.
Nice. Well, Kristin, thanks for showing them such a good time. Safe travels, John, to you and your wife. We look forward to seeing you again the next time you come up to visit.
Thank you very much.
You've been watching Coffee with Kristin and Tina. We're your hosts, Tina Prigge, Vagabond Creative Studio, Kristin Odell of Grow with KLO. We will see you next time. Take care, everyone.
Bye-bye.